What's up, everyone? Welcome to Derailed. I'm Jeff Caldwell.
And I'm Jay Martin.
And I'm Kris Boons.
Excited. You guys...
Very excited. This is the return of Derailed after many months of not being returned.
Trying to have Derailed.
We've sporadically been on.
Pull it back.
That's right. So we're going to be doing this today. We're about an hour late from when we thought we were going to start doing it again. So
yeah, these things happen.
They happen. Every week we're going to be here on Thursday at 3 o'clock. So I hope you enjoy the show and join us again.
Yeah, and the basic concept, for people who are new, and since it's the return.
That's right.
Derailed is basically what you think it is.
Yeah.
We'll talk about something, and then someone will go off the rails, and we'll follow that path.
Right. So we were just talking before we even started about the intro video, and Mr. Boone had an observation about it.
Stumbled into the history of that scene where the train crashes, and essentially it's when it was filmed back in like 1926 and how it was one of the most expensive scenes at the time of like all movies, and it stayed for a while. Like that record,
I mean,
it endured for like 30 or some odd, however many years.
It's expensive to throw a locomotive into a river.
It is very expensive to just toss a train into a river.
So yeah, that movie was Buster Keaton.
Yeah, the general.
Yeah. If anybody is interested in checking it out, it's in the public domain. You can probably find it at like archive.org or something like that. And if you're a fan of silent movies, especially if you're a fan of Buster Keaton.
Yeah, he did a lot. Like a couple of like clips come out like showing the photography, the way he did stuff, like his stunts to make it look like he was
some really famous like I don't even think it's from the same movie, but the barn, the front of the building falling down.
On the and then the guy just happens to have that spot
placed right in the window. Yeah. He did all of his own stunts, injured himself pretty regularly.
Yeah, that had to be nerve-wracking. Just like, I'm supposed to stand here and it's going to be fine, but there's that one moment as it's falling, you're just like, but what if?
Your trust in physics.
Just wrong?
You really have to double check your numbers. Like, did I measure it? Is it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So he was sort of like a proto Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
So Jackie Chan, I don't think ever did anything crazy enough. Like as crazy as standing in the path of a falling wall.
I've heard some stories about like him injuring. It's more like the injuries he gets from doing
every
this
movie.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Every movie. You know what? That makes me think of Tom Cruise.
He does. Yeah.
The fact that he does his own stunts, except he's worth millions and millions of dollars on set. He costs a lot of money, and he makes directors super nervous.
Yeah.
Because
they're like, please don't do your stunt.
If you die, that's it.
Yeah, we can't CGI the rest of the movie.
No, you end up with a Justice League mustache.
Oh goodness.
CGI.
I watched the Snyder cut.
The Snyder cut?
Yes,
I did too.
I have not.
It's buckle down and get ready. It is a long.
I've seen a bunch of clips from it. So
yeah, they should have made it into a series.
Yeah,
they could have just made it into a 4-part.
They were saying like if you played the regular movie like in normal speed, because it's a lot of slow-mo scenes.
Yeah,
because in normal speed it's probably like no different.
Yeah.
It's definitely better than the theatrical cut, but
I don't think people would have been able to sit in a theater for 4 hours.
No, but I mean, movies are getting longer, probably because of series.
Yeah,
Game did it. Like those are a long one too.
Yeah.
Do you think they're gonna do
intermissions?
Bring back those.
They did with Titanic.
You know what I really think is I think they're gonna start trending towards just doing series as much as they can. Because have you watched any of the series that are on Disney Plus, the Marvel stuff?
I finished WandaVision and I started Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
And those are pretty high quality.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, WandaVision, pretty impressive at what you could do with literally, not a lot of they didn't need a huge cast.
Right.
So what they were able to do with just 8 people and a house, and to be like, this is a superhero movie versus being here's the assemble 58 people and we got this giant field and space. Like we're in the kitchen with 4 people.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to watch still.
That makes me think of the I watched a special about The Mandalorian. And have you guys watched that?
I'm episode 7, I think. Yeah. I'm working on it. They just did the prison.
That's some good Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this similar thing, a very constrained cast.
It turns out what they did is they had a set, probably not much bigger than in here, but what they had was gigantic flexible LED screens in a circle around the entire set. So the actors aren't acting against a green screen. They're acting against actual images of whatever it is they're supposed to be acting in front of. And they said even during the pandemic, it allowed them to have a closed off set.
Yeah.
And everything was more or less secure. And that's why they were able to put out a new season of that show. So I think.
So you're saying we're not meeting our potential here on Derailed, is we've somehow fallen short of.
What people don't know is that this image behind us is projected on a top of the line LED screen.
We go all out.
Yeah.
We're actually just in front of the skyline.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Our LED is so top of the line that it's getting an image from 1930s San Angelo, Texas. Chadburn Street. Maybe Oaks. That might be Oaks.
Well, so I think a weird tie-in. We always talk about national days, international days, and all that fun stuff. So we were talking about movies being longer, breaking them into series, and honestly, the first one I think of, Lord of the Rings.
That's right. Yeah. So I think we were talking about a little bit of this day in history.
Yeah, we were talking today's like Tolkien read day. And see if I got it pulled up.
You do?
Yeah.
All right.
So
check that out.
Okay, I guess this is gonna show my age. I know I'm not that old, but I've met a couple people that don't know who J.R.R. Tolkien is.
Right.
And it baffles me, but he's the guy who wrote Lord of the Rings and started that fantasy.
He's basically the root of all fantasy fiction.
A lot of like the elves, the orcs, the.
So today, what it is like I guess some spoilers.
It's been out for like 100 years.
Is it?
Well, okay.
Are you about to? You're not about to spoil the Silmarillion for people, are you?
I don't think so.
All right.
So basically, the reason they picked today for Tolkien Read Day is because this is when they defeated the main bad guy. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
They win?
There's a lot of things that we could say here, but yes, so they win. Those people, the characters.
March 25th in Middle Earth?
Yes, in Middle Earth, if that's how you can.
You wrote it. Frodo was just like, by the way, it's March 25th.
Oh, yeah, Dear Diary.
Yeah, Dear Diary.
March 25th. I don't know how they calculated the years.
Yeah, I was reading in and just a lot of research. A lot of fans looked into it and tried and figured it out.
So I think, I never watched the movie that was about Tolkien that came out a few years ago.
Oh, about
him when he's young and But I know, I think he started writing the Lord of the Rings stuff in reaction to rising fascism, essentially.
Yeah.
And why can't I remember the main villain's name right now? Sauron.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was like, World War I? I was like, but yeah, I did a class about it, and it was interesting to see the ties between the world powers at that time and how they related to Lord of the Rings. And I'm gonna be honest, I've read one of the books and I saw all the movies, obviously.
Yeah. When I was younger, I read The Hobbit and enjoyed that, and then I started reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I was supposed to read The Hobbit. This is the story. I got a negative score on a test.
Oh, wow.
And I went from regular English to AP English. And over the summer, we were supposed to read The Hobbit. I did not. And so first day, we have a test. It's 26 questions. Multiple choice, I was hoping. I could probably guess and get some points. No, it was fill in the blank, and I hadn't read or even heard of the book. So I get 26 questions wrong of 26, and the teacher's like, man, just make them 4 points apiece. I get a -4 on the first test.
Negative. Oh, that's incredible.
She was like, that's amazing. You can I'll bump it up to a 0 because you didn't read the book at all.
That must have felt great.
It was fantastic. So I'm not a big fan of, Tolkien because He really
started you out
me
bad.
off really bad in 8th grade when I tried to transition from regular English to AP English.
I mean, it's the extra work.
Yeah.
Really.
Never again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've the way I have a series that I'm reading that's kind of like Lord of the Rings, and that's how I describe it to people. And everyone is always shocked. Like when you read Lord of the Rings, it's like a trilogy, 3 books, pretty long. This book series is 14.
Sure.
And they're all about 1,000 pages.
Right.
And I'm just like, they're like, oh, that sounds really interesting. I was like, you gotta be ready. It's an investment.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I did get into something that was fantasy adjacent, I guess. Stephen King wrote the Dark Tower series.
Yeah.
It was 8 books long. And it took him pretty much his life to finish. And like in the early 2000s, late 90s, he got hit by a van. He was walking.
I did not know that.
And a van ran him over. And it was before he finished that. So there were a lot of people who were like, no. I mean, obviously fans were upset that he got hit by a van.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of people who were like, he'd better finish that. Because
I think there was that same fear with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
When
Right.
people were like, wait, this has started. It's really good, but it's not finished yet. We don't know how it ends. And they're like, no one does. And we're
nobody
like,
does.
that's a risk.
And then they look at J.R.R. Martin, they're like, I don't know how healthy you are,
Yeah.
J.R.R.
Yeah.
That was a series I casually watched that.
George R.R. Martin, sorry, not J.R.R. That's Tolkien.
Tolkien Day. It's not his. When's J.R. Martin's day? Then
I don't know
then
when his
we'll wait
day
for
is.
that day.
Yeah, we'll wait
Yeah.
for that
He
day.
doesn't get his day yet.
But yeah.
So, okay, what else is going on in history?
Oh, what else we got going on is International Waffle Day. And now I looked and I just thought we were going to celebrate waffles. I've been mistaken that's not what is.
Yeah, International Waffle Day, and I looked into it because it's international and the European Waffle Day, because the history is a bit different. Is in Sweden there was a holiday 9 months before Christmas, Our Lady's Day, which translated into Valfrudagen.
Oh.
Valfrudagen, but
Okay.
then the waffle gets invented and it becomes Valfrudagen, which translates into Waffle Day, and that becomes adopted as the European Waffle Day.
Nice.
And the International Waffle Day. American Waffle Day is August 24th, with the invention of the waffle maker.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like I'm on Team European Waffle Day.
I mean, the European Waffle Day story is a lot more interesting.
It's more interesting because, like, then all of a sudden, a typo can become a future day, and you don't even realize it. So now, like, you have to, you don't know what history you might be making by mistyping something.
I mean, that's just sort of the way words have worked anyway, right?
Yeah, I'm sure for most, yeah.
I mean, I think my favorite line out of a lot of movies is actually a Marvel movie, but when Thor is on the Guardians of the Galaxy ship, and he says, "That's a made-up word."
All words are made up.
Words are made up. I
All
was
words.
like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, not entirely wrong.
That's pretty good.
It's a made up word. All words are made up. Like, it's one of those, like, you stop and think about it for a second. You're like, wait a minute.
It's true.
I don't like this, but true.
We made all those up.
And then the lost in translation ones would going from different languages and.
Have you guys studied a second language at all?
Yeah, enough to know a few sentences.
I mean, my Spanish is not good. I mean, I could probably survive, but it's pretty poor. But I'm always fascinated by, they call them false cognates, which are words that, generally, when you have a cognate, it's almost the same word in English as the other language. But then there are false cognates, which look like they're the same word, but they have a totally different meaning.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, Peanut Gallery, can you...
Right. Embarazado. The other one is sensible, which sounds like sensible, but it's actually sensitive. So.
False cognates.
Right.
I just know enough French to say I don't know French.
I lived in Germany for 3 years, and you'd think you'd pick up some German and not as much as you'd want because they're
it's really a matter you have to use it every single day.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I would try to use it and they'd be frustrated and they're like, I speak perfect English. Just tell me what you want. And I was like, fine. And so it really squashed. Same thing with Japan. I was like trying to learn some Japanese. No.
They don't. They're like, no.
They're like, I don't have time.
We went to school for your language.
Yeah, and they did, and they speak it like better than some, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I just thought it was always polite going somewhere else and
like
learning enough to be like, yeah, I can order food and tell you I don't speak your language. Sorry.
Yeah. We I got to visit Montreal for Christmas a couple of years ago. And that's a super fun city, because it's an American city, but people speak French, and it's just a fun little town.
I like the name of their money in Canada. It's like a toonie, a loonie.
Loonie. It's a loonie. I couldn't think of it for a second. I was like, is it some kind of a duck or something? I can't remember. Yeah, the loonie. And
the beavers on the nickel.
Their money's actually like our money's paper, but their money's printed on Tyvek. And a lot of countries have started doing that. It's just
like
nearly
plastic,
indestructible plastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty neat.
Well, wasn't the joke made because in that way, like, it wouldn't get ruined in the snow?
It could be.
Because it's durable enough that you wouldn't have to worry about it
getting.
But snow, and then I think the joke was also maple syrup on it.
Maple syrup.
That makes sense. You can wash it.
Yeah. I guess I would take laundering money to a whole nother level, wouldn't it?
I wanted crickets. But...
Yeah, I know. We'll have to get a soundboard.
That's pretty good.
It's a quality joke, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. Everyone at home's laughing. We know it.
They are writing in for...
They should be.
They are.
Hey, everybody, drop your comments below.
Yeah.
Just kidding. There are no comments on Concho Valley homepage.
Could be.
When we get back on Facebook.
Yeah, we are going to start streaming on Facebook.
Then you can really write your comments.
That's
and
right.
then we'll say... Then they'll have evidence to prove that my jokes are bad.
And I'll go and like all the Jay's jokes are bad comments. I'll just
You'll be there all day.
Heart.
You know what we should do is we should try to get a partnership with a business in town. Just
to sponsor a bad joke.
Hashtag Jay's jokes are bad to get a discount and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Today's Jay's horrible joke is brought to you by.
That's brought to you by. I'm trying to think of some of the. I don't want to throw out any big names. Next thing I know, I'm like.
You don't want to throw out any businesses because then they don't want to be associated with your bad joke.
That's true. We don't have a comedy club here.
We don't.
That would be.
You got to drive over Fort Worth.
Although, I mean, there is the B Theater, right?
I haven't been there for. I've done.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I heard they did improv. They weren't taking new members, or they just knew my jokes were that bad that they just like, no new members. They shut it down.
He's gonna be that improv guy.
Yeah,
because you can have like a bar that just does kind of like an open mic stand-up thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's New Orleans was like that.
Yeah,
like they would have.
I think they sometimes do open mic. They do stand-up nights at the Penny. And I think I saw that. I mean, I'm sure it's got to be more than the Penny that just has stuff like that.
I've only seen bands. That's the biggest thing I've seen.
Usually
at any other.
I think I
place.
knew somebody who did stand-up. So I saw that you had something that happened in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
All right, this one's a real mood lifter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. Anybody know about that?
Yeah.
You guys remember about the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire from history class?
I did. Good.
Yeah, I mean it was
history of it is
it's wild. It's sort of the basis for a lot of the
labor laws,
labor movement, and labor laws that happened. Yeah.
Because of
well, don't leave me in suspense.
Because of how visual it was. There was essentially this fire,
right?
And they used to lock the employees in there in certain spots,
right?
So they prevented people from getting out to like make them work,
right?
And so they had all these, and most of them were women,
yeah.
And so what happened was the streets of New York basically watched as women were jumping off of this 10-story 11-story building to their death to avoid the fire, and it created this like horrible PR nightmare where people are like, you don't like this is the scenario where we've seen is like and the huge investigation that came after the fact of
and we're talking about labor before there were such things as child labor laws and things like that. So
early 1900s, and then the building was not too far from where I interned in New York. It's part of the NYU campus now. It's right next to the Washington Square
Park.
Yeah. It's literally like 2 blocks away.
I lived.
It's like Starbucks now, I think.
Probably. Yeah, that wouldn't be a big surprise.
There's a little plaque on the road eventually saying like this is where it was. And
It's I lived in New York for a while, and the it's really cool to be able to walk past a building like that and think about just the history of that city, and how much happened there, how much changed.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's probably a Starbucks now. And you think of iconic buildings like the Flatiron Building, which is shaped like a triangle. And it's the bottom floor of that is something similar.
Macy's
just like a bank or something, some Chase or something like that.
When I go to do anything in New York, I just get frustrated. There's a lot of people, and I'm just like, I'm on a mission to go here, and everyone
is in the way.
Yeah,
it's a quest for me. Like it is Skyrim all over because I have to find a map and there's an objective, and it's an adventure.
So, the people in New York aren't rude.
No,
politeness just means something different there. Generally, politeness means
time.
Move. Get out of the way, dude.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Also, they don't say in line. You're not in line for anything. You're online. So if you're online and you're taking time to make a decision about what you want to order, you're very rude. Incredibly rude. Because you've probably been online for a while.
Yeah.
And you should have known. Because there are people behind you who have some other place to be.
Yeah, it's like a mindset. Like I grew up in the South, so you get there and it's like that whole mindset.
Yeah, when I was living there and I came back to visit San Angelo, because I grew up here, I was almost very rude to a cashier because she wouldn't stop talking to me. And I was like, I have my purchase finished and all I want to do is go.
Yeah.
You're great and everything, but
I've got other things to do, and it's been fun.
Right.
Speaking of trains.
That's right.
That's the safer version. This is the derailed.
That's the safe version.
That's the safe.
Well, we're setting up a special effect for that.
Yeah.
We're gonna get some kids involved.
and it's expected to be the most expensive scene in
San Angelo history.
San Angelo history.
Mostly because of the lawsuits.
Mostly because of all the fall.
That's right. The lawsuits and the jail time.
Hey, I don't know.
It's gonna you'll get bumped down to community service.
Yeah, I was reading about the shirt thing that you guys were talking about, and the guys that got blamed for it.
The triangle shirtwaist triangle.
Yeah, they got off scot-free.
They certainly did.
So
that's another thing about generally the history of the United States is a lot of businesses generally just sort of get off scot-free when things like that happen.
Yeah, it was not exactly the happy solution. They were like, okay, we'll unlock the doors, and we're like, so that was the solution. That's all we're
Yeah.
It was more so, I think, because they had other issues where like factories that are kind of removed from the city, but this one was kind of like in the city. It was very visual to see the impacts of it, and there was like an added social effect to seeing it being mostly women who were doing it.
Right.
And that was kind of like the issue where it's like, the guy's working, that's okay. And then like once it became women jumping off of buildings, it's like
a bad look.
It kind of like was this unfortunate like triple whammy of just a horrible PR.
And when they refer to it as a shirtwaist factory, what they're talking about by today's standards is pretty much a sweatshop.
Yeah.
It was just a big room with a bunch of women
and
sewing waistcoats.
Yeah.
And some, I guess, rags with accelerant somewhere in the corner, and somebody was smoking.
Yeah.
Pretty much it. And all the doors were locked shut.
Yeah. And there's no, like, and I think that was a big push for fire escapes, too, in New York City, because at the time, I don't think fire escapes were such a big deal.
Right. Having a fire escape is...
Now it's, fire escapes.
Yeah, it's like, you see,
like, why do we need fire escapes? And you're like, well, this is probably one of the reasons.
You're going to want to weigh down.
Yeah. You want,
Yeah.
It's not just for those cool Spider-Man sneaking in.
It does make for really great cinema in the sense
does.
that, like...
It does.
That's how...
It can make you feel cool to have a fire escape to go out onto every once in a while.
Because that was, like, your balcony.
Right.
Is that what you... Like, so you guys had...
I actually didn't. I generally lived in apartments that...
Third floor, yeah. They were just like, good luck.
Not high enough.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but... if you're in a building that's got a fire escape and it's like, hey, let's go out on the fire escape and
Assuming the windows aren't
enjoy the weather.
Enjoy.
What have you.
The weather in New York City where it's hot or cold.
That's, the weather is different there.
It is.
I mean, it is the same here. It's just that the time interval for summer and winter are flopped. So winter there is like 6 months. Or it feels like 6 months.
Yeah.
Their summer is...
June is still jacket weather, basically. Thin jacket.
It gets warm, like 80s, and everyone else is flipping out. And I was just chilling. I was like, finally, it's nice and cool.
It's the humidity that always got me. Because growing up here, I would watch, national weather, and they'd be like, heat wave in New York, 98 degrees. And I'd be like, what's wrong with those people?
Yeah, that humidity can...
Until you're there, in the concrete and the humidity, and you're like, it's 89 degrees and I might die.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that everything surrounding is made of metal or concrete and is getting up to like 120, and then you're like, oh, this does suck.
Yeah, it's gross. Yeah. Wow. We have completely derailed the conversation as usual.
Chewed time. We didn't even get to pecan or pecan day.
Yeah, we can.
That's going to be something that we're going to be talking about. Did you just refer to them as pecans?
People do.
I was going to say you're in the wrong part of the country.
I was about to say I can drop a bombshell before we leave.
Okay.
And we'll have to remember it for next week. So when it's just it by itself, they're pecans. Plain and simple. But when you put them in a pie, they're pecans.
No, they're not.
They're pecan pie.
They're never.
Nope.
They are never
it's
that.
Pecan.
Yep. And I interchange them.
It's also. That is some beans in chili garbage right there.
Beans and chili is what?
Nope.
We gotta go.
Not in Texas, you're right.
Before somebody's gonna come to the mall and attack you. All right. We'll see you guys next week, 3:00 on Thursday.